Oh, yeah, they're nice. Nice. Okay, all right. Um, Yud Gimel Aleph.
Hold on.
Uh,
It's Gimel Yud Aleph, but okay,
Gimel Yud Aleph, right?
that's the one.
One, if one says, Kohanim, I benefit from the descendants of Noah, he is permitted to benefit from Jews, but if he's forbidden to benefit from Gentiles, Kohanim, when I benefit from the progeny of Abraham, he is forbidden to benefit from Jews, but he is permitted to benefit from Gentiles. Kohanim, when I benefit from Jews, he must buy for more and sell for less. Kohanim, what I Jews benefit from me, he must buy for less and sell for more, if they listen to him. Kohanim, when I benefit from them and they from me, he may benefit Gentiles. If one says, Kohen, what I benefit from the uncircumcised, is permitted to benefit from uncircumcised Jews, but forbidden to benefit from circumcised Gentiles. Kohen, what I benefit from the circumcised, he is forbidden to benefit from uncircumcised Jews, but is permitted to benefit from circumcised Gentiles. For the term Orla is used only as a general name for Gentiles, as it says, for all the nations are uncircumcised, and the whole house of Israel are uncircumcised in the heart. And it says, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be, and it says, let the daughters of the Philistines rejoice, let the daughters of the uncircumcised be jubilant. If Elisav and Azariah said, the testicle is a foreskin, for it is the wicked are disparaged, and as it says, for all the nations are uncircumcised. Yismael says, great is circumcision, for concerning it 13 covenants were made. Rabbi Yosef says, great is the circumcision which overrides a strict Sabbath. Rabbi Yeshua ben Korkai says, great is circumcision, for concerning it even Moses, the righteous one, was not prepared for 1 hour. The Chama says, great is circumcision which overrides a Gayim. And Rebbe says, great is circumcision, for despite all the precepts which our forefathers Abraham fulfilled, it was not considered complete until he circumcised himself, as it said, walk before me and be perfect. Another thing, great is circumcision, for if not for the Holy One, blessed he, would not have created his world, as it is said, so says Hashem, if not for my covenant day and night, the laws of heaven and earth, I would not have put in place. Okay. There are no differences between someone prohibited by another to benefit from another and someone prohibited by another to buy food-related benefits from him, except for trading by foot. Utensils not used for food. Someone prohibited by another from deriving food-related benefits from another should not lend him a flour sieve, a grain sieve, or a mill, or an oven, but he may lend him a shirt, a ring, a cloak, earrings, and anything not used for food. In a place where things like these are rented, it is prohibited. Someone prohibited by another to benefit from another, the latter may contribute his half shekel for him, pay his debt, and return his lost article to him. In a place where people take reward for this, the benefits should go to the temple.
Okay.
Okay.
Just to make something clear in the terminology, is that a vow can be created in either direction. It could be that someone says, I take a neder that I am usher to benefit from you. Or he could say, I'm taking a vow that you are usher to benefit from me. And he can do that in both directions, and it's equally binding. Okay. But we use the term hamadir as the one who creates the isser, and the mudar as the one who is affected by the isser. In both cases, even though the person who's madir, who it sounds like he made the vow, but it could be that he was the one that the vow was made on. The person that, like, if the person said, I take a neder, I should not have any benefit from you, then even though he's the one technically doing the action, the other person is called the madir and he is called the mudar, the one who is prohibited from having benefit. Okay, so Gimel. The Torah is truma so sav ledato. So the madir is allowed to give truma on behalf trumas and masters on behalf of the mudar, um, as long as he is aware of it. Now, this is not a case where the mudar put out said to him, "Look, can you take trumas and masters from my things from me?" Because then he's giving him a benefit. You asked me to do it, I'm doing it. That's a benefit. Rather, what it must be is sort of a generic thing where the mudar just said, "Look, I can't take my trumas and masters. Anyone who can do it on my behalf, please do it for me." Whatever, it's Erev Shabbos, and he wants to be able to enjoy the rest of his produce on Shabbos, and he just is not going to have the opportunity. So he says, puts out an all call and says, anyone who can do it, please do it for me. And the Madir decides, okay, yeah, I'll do it. So that's allowed. That's not considered. That's just considered, what would you call it? He's not giving him a direct benefit that's in violation of the vow. Umakriv alav kinei zavin kinei zavos kinei yoldos chatas v'ashamos. So in this story he is bringing a korban on behalf of the mudar. Um, because there's a chiyuv. He has a chiyuv to bring these korbanos, and what he's doing, it's like repaying a loan, which we said is permitted. Umelamdo midrash halachas v'agados, and he's allowed to teach midrash and halachas and agados. These are things that are because a Torah teacher in the time of the Mishnah is asked to take a salary. So the fact that he's waiving a salary is nothing, because you're not allowed to take payment for teaching these things. Aval lo yilamdenu mikra, but he cannot teach him mikra, which is the trop. He cannot teach him
Right.
trop, which that is something that people do charge for, and if he's teaching him for nothing, that's definitely a benefit. Okay. Aval melamed hu es banav es benosav mikra. But he can teach mikra to the mudar's children. Okay. Why is that? Because it's not something that he had to do, and it's not that there was a chiyuv for him to get his children to learn drop. So he's just teaching. It's not like there's a monetary chiyuv on him that he's kind of just repaying. No, wait, wait, hold on a sec. Aval melamed hu es benav es benosav. Um, it is a mitzvah of the father to teach his children Torah, and now he's so now the mudar is the madir is saving him the money of doing it. This is not considered hana asura of Ruvain, because mitzvahs are not there for hana. He's doing a mitzvah to teach the children how to learn mikra, and even that is not considered a hana. Ruvain, because presumably the mudar could have taught them himself. And okay, so now he doesn't have to teach them mikra, but this is all the begetter mitzvah. It's not that he's giving him a benefit. V'lo yazon, sorry, I skipped a bit. V'zan es ishto v'es banav af al pi shehu chayv b'mizonasein. He can come and give food to this man's wife and children, even though he is chayav. According to din, he has to feed these people. So now he's giving him a benefit. No, but it's just like repaying a loan. So taking a loan off his hands, that's not considered an asur hana. Lo yazun is behemto, but he may not feed his animals, because that is directly benefiting him, because his animals are his property, and therefore that's a direct hana. Bain tmeya, bain tohar, and it doesn't make a difference whether you're talking about horses or you're talking about sheep. Okay, Rabbi Eliezer Omer. Zan es hatmeya ve'eno zan is tohara. So Rabbi Eliezer says no, it's actually okay if he feeds the non-kosher animals, the horses. Amrulo, ma bein tmeya leTorah. They all looked at him and said, what are you talking about? Why is there any difference between the two? Amar lahen she'at Torah nafsha l'shamayim v'gufa shelo. Because the kosher animals, the body belongs to him. He's gonna eat them. Okay, and you giving as you're giving them food, so they're putting on more flesh, and he's gonna eat it ultimately. So that's a hana. But mea nafsha v'gufa l'shamayim. When the horse dies, that's it. It's he doesn't get to eat it. Amrullah, but that doesn't make sense. They said afat mea nafsha l'shamayim v'gufa shelo. It also its body also belongs to him. She'im yirtze hareu mochra legoyim or machila leklavim. But he still, even if he doesn't eat it himself, he can sell it to non-Jews or he can feed it to his dogs. So that's still a hana. Where Rabbi Eliezer says that's not the ikar of the animal. The ikar of why you own a non-kosher animal is for the work it does, not for the fact that it's going to turn into treifa meat at the end. Okay, that's you get the animal for work, but the kosher animal, that's something that's edible in the end of at the end of its life. So that's a big part of your calculation when you take a kosher animal. Okay. Dalet mudar hana mechavero v'nichnas lebakro. So the Madir once got angry and he made a neder and now he wants to come and visit. He wants to come and visit his friend because his friend is very sick. So if he's standing, if he wants to do this, Omeid aval lo yoshev, he can stand by the bed because then he's doing the mitzvah of Bikkur Cholim, but he cannot sit. Why can't he sit? Because that was something in the time that was customary that you would hire somebody to come and sit by the sick person to keep them company and whatever. And if he's coming and sitting and spending an extended time down there, then he's effectively providing that service for free, which is again hana. Okay. Umarapehu refuas nefesh. If he's a doctor, he's allowed to treat him. Why? It's a mitzvah to treat somebody who's sick. Okay, you're helping. That's something that's not considered a hana. Aval lo refuas mammon. But he can't treat. He cannot do if he's a veterinary doctor, he can't come and treat the man's animals because that's refuas mammon. And that's not a mitzvah for him. That's just helping him out monetarily, which is an asr benefit. Rochetz imo ambati gedola. If the two of them find themselves in the public bath together, that's fine. There's no particular benefit for one when one gets into the bath with the other. Aval lo bekatana, not together. If not in a small one. So if there's a small pool and he gets into the pool with him, then he raises the water level, which is a benefit for the other person because now he's got more water covering him, and that's great. Okay. V'yashen imo b'mita, and he's allowed to sleep in the same bed as him because that's I don't know if you've ever tried to sleep in the same bed as another man, but that's never fun. Yeah. I did that. I remember when I was a teenager with one of my friends, and we woke up so battered and bruised from smacking each other and trying to take the blankets. That's definitely not a hana. However, Rabbi Yehuda says that's true in summer, but in winter, when it's cold, your body heat warms each other up. So that's also for them to do. Okay, may save him alamita. He may recline with him on the bed. May save imo alamita ochel imo ala shulchan and eat with him at the same table. So they can basically sleep on lie on the same couch, eating at the same table, no problem. Aval lo min hatamchoi, not if they're eating from a bowl that's being passed around for people to take a portion from, because if the madir takes a smaller piece than what's in there, then he's effectively giving a gift to the mudar because now he's got more to choose from. However, if it's a large tamchoy which is passed around several times, then that's okay because there's so much food in there that no matter how much he takes, it's not going to really influence the choice of the mudar. Lo yachal imo min ha'evus shelifnei hapoalim. You can't eat with him from the trough that's in front of the workers. So it's a situation where the workers get to, again, a similar sort of thing where they're choosing from a communal bowl, and if one takes less, the other one gets to take more. V'lo yaseh imo be'omen, and he Divrei Rabbi Meir. So Rabbi Meir says they may not work together in the same field if they're, let's say harvesting grain, because as you're chopping the grain, and if you're working in rows, once you chop the grain, you've made it easier for the other person to pass because now
Right.
the grain is no longer blocking his way. As long as they're standing far apart from each other, so the one's work is not going to make the other one's work any easier. Okay. Now, if a person is asur bahana from his friend, so before Shvius, in other words, in a regular year, lo yored l'soch sadeh, who's not allowed to enter the man's field, ve'eno ochel min hanotos, and he's not allowed to eat from the fruit that's hanging out over the edge of the field. Ubashvius, but during the Shemitah year, Adain, he's still eno yored l'soch sadeh, he's still not allowed to come into the field because that's a benefit for him to be able to walk through the field. Aval ochel hu min hanotos. But the fruit that's hanging over the edge, that's public property. That's hefker. So he's allowed to have the produce, and that's not hana. Nadarim enu machal lifnei hashvius. However, if the neder was not about benefit but just about food, yored lesoch sadehu, then he's allowed to walk through the guy's field that we saw before. That drisa regel is permitted for the mudar hana. Ve'eno ochel min haperes. Nonetheless, he cannot eat from the produce. Ubeshvius, but in Shemitah year, yored ve'ochel. Then he's allowed to walk through the field and he's allowed to eat the produce. Okay. All right, back to Kesubos Yud Gimel Yud.
Yud Gimel Yud. There are three lands as far as marriage is concerned: Judea, the other side of the Jordan, and Galilee. They cannot remove from town to town or from city to city. In the same land, however, they remove from town to town or from city to city, but not from a town to a city or from a city to a town. They may remove from a bad dwelling to a good dwelling, but not from a good dwelling to a bad. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says, not even from a bad dwelling to a good dwelling, for the good dwelling puts to the proof. Everyone can be compelled to go up to Eretz Yisrael, but no one can be compelled to go out. Everyone can be compelled to go up to Yerushalayim, but no one can be compelled to go out, both men and women. If one married a woman in Eretz Yisrael and divorced her in Eretz Yisrael, he gives her the coinage of Eretz Yisrael. If he married a woman in Eretz Yisrael and divorced her in Kapakotoka, he gives her the coinage of Eretz Yisrael. If he married a woman in Kapakotoka and divorced her in Eretz Yisrael, he gives her the coinage of Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Shimon says, Ben Gamliel says, he gives her the coinage of Kapadoka. If he married a woman in Cappadocia and divorced her in Cappadocia, he gives her the coinage of Cappadocia. Okay.
Okay, and let's do the first Mishnah back in Nedarim.
Nedarim, first Mishnah in Nedarim. Okay. So, all equivalent terms used in Nedarim are like Nedarim, and those used in Karayim are like Karayim. And in oaths are like oaths, and in the Nazarite declaration are like the Nazarite declaration. One who says to another, I am restricted from you by a neder, I am separated from you, or I am removed from you, and that I shall not eat. If one says, let the vows of the wicked be, he has vowed concerning a Nazarite, an offering, and an oath, like the vows of the scrupulous, he has not said anything like the devotional vows, he has vowed concerning a Nazarite and an offering.
Okay. Back to Ksubos. Okay, base Yud.
Okay, base Yud. And in these cases, people are believed to testify when they are of age about what they saw when they were minors. A person is believed to say, this is my father's handwriting, and this is my teacher's handwriting, and this is my brother's handwriting. I remember so-and-so, and she went out with a veil and with her hair untied. And that the so-and-so went out with us to school to immerse himself in order to eat truma. And he shared with us on the threshing floor, and this is the base of pras. And until we used to go on until here we used to go on the Sabbath, but a person is not believed to say so-and-so had a right of way in this place, so-and-so had a stopping spot and a eulogizing spot in this place. Okay. Gimel Aleph. There are maidens who are entitled to a fine. One who is intimate with a Mazeros and Nesonite or a Kuthian, likewise, one who is intimate with a prostitute, a captive, or a slave. One who is ransomed, converted, or emancipated under the age of 3 years or 1 day. If one is intimate with his sister, his father's sister, his mother's sister, his wife's sister, his brother's sister, his father's brothers, wife, or a menstruant, they are entitled to a fine. Although they are liable to karet, they are not liable to the death penalties inflicted by the court. And these are the entitled to the fine. One who is intimate with a prostitute, a captive, or a slave, who was ransomed, converted, and emancipated above the age of 3 years or 1 day. Rabbi Yehuda says a captive who is ransomed is still considered in a state of piety, even if she is of age. One is intimate with his daughter, his daughter's daughter, his son's daughter, his wife's daughter, his son's daughter, or the daughter's daughter, and they are entitled to the fine because he is liable for his life. For his death penalty is in the hands of the court, and anyone who is liable for his life does not pay money for it. It said, if there is no fatal injury, he shall not be punished. Okay. And Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, Dalet Aleph. When the Rosh Hashanah fell on Sabbath, they would blow the shofar in the temple, but not in the provinces. After the temple was destroyed, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai instituted they blow the shofar in every place where there is a bezdin. Rabbi Eliezer, and it says Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai instituted this regulation for Yavnan Oni, and they said to him, Yavnan, any other place where there is a bedstead. In this matter, too, Yerushalayim was superior to Yavner in that any town which could see Yerushalayim and could hear and is near to Yerushalayim can come to Yerushalayim on the Sabbath, may blow the shofar on the Sabbath wherever, as in Yavner they only blew before the bedstead. Originally, the lulav was taken in the temple all of 7 days of Sukkot, and the province of lulav was taken only 1 day. After the temple was destroyed, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai instituted the lulav be taken in the provinces for 7 days in remembrance of the temple, and that the entire day of waving of the Omer should be forbidden.
Okay.
Okay. Maisa Shady. Maisa Shady. Okay. Base should. If one's sons was unclean and some clean, he laid down the cellar and says, "Let the cellar be in exchange for what the clean drink, and thus the clean and the unclean may drink from one jar." A man may not say to his fellow, "Take this produce up to Yerushalayim for a share," but he may say to him, "Take it up, and we shall eat it and drink it in Yerushalayim." But they may give it to each other as a present. One may not buy truma with Maisa Sheni money because it reduces the number of its consumers. But Reb Shimon permits. Said Reb Shimon to them, "Why, if they rule leniently regarding peace offerings, which he renders pickle, nota, or unclean, will we not rule leniently in the case of truma?" They said to him, "Why, if they rule leniently regarding peace offerings, which are permitted to non-priests, shall we rule leniently in the case of truma, which is forbidden to non-priests?" Okay. And the Gayam. We have Dalad. 2 hairs are turning black at the root and white at the top are tahor, but they're not symptoms of tumor. If they're turning white at the root and black at the top, they are tamei. How much of the hair must be white? Meir says any amount. Reb Shimon says long enough to be cut with a pair of scissors. If it's 1 hair that splits so that it appears to be 2 hairs, it is tahor. A snow white nigger that is white hair or black hair is tamei. We are not concerned that the black hair reduces the size of the hairs until it is too small to become tamei, because the hair does not have any substantive thickness. A baharat the size of a grid has a strip of nega extending from it. If the strip is 2 hairs wide, it connects the baharat to white hair or to expansion, or not to a section of living skin. 2 baharats have a strip of nega containing them. If the strip is 2 hairs wide, they combine, and if not, they do not combine. Baharat the size of a grid contains living skin the size of a lentil, and on the living skin there is white hair. If the healthy skin disappeared, the baharat is tamei because of the white hair. If the white hair fell out, the baharat is tamei because of living skin. Reb Shimon considers it tahor because the baharat did not cause the hair to change color. Baharat and the living skin it contains together equal the size of a grist, and there is a white hair inside the baharat. If the living skin disappeared, it is tamei because of the white hair. If the white hair fell out, it is tamei because of the living skin. Rabbi Shimon considers it tahor because the hair was not changed by a baharat the size of a grit. However, he agrees that if there is a grist of nega where the white hair grows, it is tamei. Okay. And
Avos.
Avos is basic test of Zion. Sorry. He used to say, "You are not required to complete the task, so you are not free to withdraw from it. If you have studied much Torah, they give you great reward. And your employer can be relied upon to pay you the wage of your labor. But be aware that the reward of the righteous will be given to the world in the world to come." Akiva ben Menahel says, "Consider 3 things that you will not come into the grip of sin. Know where you came, whither you go, and before whom you are destined to give testimony and accounting. Whence you came from a future drop, whether you go to a place of dust, worms, and maggots, and before whom you are destined to give judgment and accounting, before the King who reigns over kings, the Holy One, blessed is He." Rabbi Kananya says, the deputy Kohen Gadol says, "Pray for the welfare of the government, because if people did not fear it, a person would swallow his fellow alive." The Kananya ben Trajan says, "When 2 people are sitting together and there are no words of sorrow between them, there is a session of scorners." As it is stated, that in the session of scorners he did not sit, but 2 who are sitting together and there are words of Torah between them, the divine presence dwells between them, as it is stated. Then those who fear Hashem spoke to each other, and Hashem listened and heard, and a book of remembrance was written before him for those who fear Hashem and give thought to His name. I only know too, from where do we know that even one person who sits and occupies himself with Torah, that the Holy One, blessed He, determines a reward for him? As it is stated, let one sit in solitude and whisper, for he has taken a reward for it. Okay.
Okay,
That was it. Okay, good.
that's it.
I will see you next on Thursday.
Yeah, on Thursday. Chag Sameach.
All right. Have a great Yontif. Enjoy.
Yeah, good
Thank you.
job.